Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. Coming live by Barrett Kunyan.
Hello. Good morning,
Hello.
lovely brother Rob. It's lovely to be in your beautiful company again. And our hot topic of our discussion today will be a deep dive into sharing consciousness. Now, I believe that Tracy is running a little bit late, and she can join us a little bit later on. So, brother, how are you keeping, my lovely brother?
I'm
Good to
always good, always as ever. How's yourself? Good.
Yeah, good, brother. Good. Lovely to be here. And with reference to our beautiful subject, a deep dive into sharing consciousness. I mean, I was going to, when we have Tracy here, we were going to introduce it with the 6 base questions again as a powerful cross reference. But I leave it to your beautiful discretion how you want to begin our discussion today. So
Well, I wouldn't mind focusing on. I was going to leave this for the next chat. So I haven't focused on this
would you?
entirely. So yeah, because I was going to finish off on. Okay, I'll tell you what we'll cover because I didn't cover it the last time in the chat about the projection of self.
Okay.
And this is a good way to explain it because lots of people are having problems with this at the moment. People don't realize every human you've ever interacted with, like, so I'm talking to you now, and in my
Yeah.
head, I think that I know Barrett, but the Barrett that I've created in my head is my creation. It is in no way Barrett. It's my creation. For me to know Barrett, I would have to have been with you 24/7 for your entire life. You're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Tracy's just, sorry to disturb you there, lovely brother. It's just
Okay.
that we've got Tracy here right now. So can we come back to that in a few seconds or a minute or
Yeah,
two?
that's fine.
Let's bring beautiful Tracy into our studio. Hi, Tracy. Good morning. This is Tracie Devlin.
Yeah,
Um,
good
from
evening
United.
on
Yeah,
my
hi. You had some technical issues. But it's
yeah.
all sorted now.
Yeah,
And
we won't talk about it. We'll just let that energy float on by.
yeah. Before you introduce yourself, Tracy, Robert just started a very interesting conversation. Can we just finish that off, and I'll bring you straight back in? Yeah,
Yes.
just bear with us. Hi, Rob. If you just want to finish that off, I think it's
Yeah,
just
so like I was saying, everyone creates a character in their own head. So every human you've interacted with, you will create a character of them in your head. But like I say, it does not mean that you know that human or that other character. You don't. You'll create them in your head. And the thing about doing that, once you know this and you know how it works and you understand how thought works and is projected out,
yeah,
you'll understand that. So if I personally, okay, let's say you're having an argument with somebody and they're not with you. Let's say it's online. You can argue with somebody, but the person you're arguing with is yourself. So
mhm,
you're a human. Though you're interacting with them, they've got their character of you in their head, and you've got a character of them in your head. The person you're arguing with is the character you've created in your head. When that person leaves, and you're still that character's in your head, and they're saying things to you, and you're still arguing with yourself, to the point in the future you will still continue with the same conversation that you've got going on in your head with the character that doesn't really exist. And then you project that out in the future, and the argument will continue and go forward and continue. And this is what the whole of humanity is doing. They don't seem to realize that all your characters in your head, you project out as though it's real, and you think that you know all these characters in the world that you interact with, but you don't. They're your creation in your head, and it doesn't bear any resemblance to what they are actually like or what's going on in their life or in their soul. And like I say, it's a very common mistake that just about every human makes. Because like I say, the characters you create in your head are based on your thoughts and your you can say life script, but your natal chart. So how you feel about the rest of the world, it's already written. And all your characters will be based on how you feel about the world, and that's based on your natal chart. So when people think they're controlling what they're doing, or they're in control of the world, or they control or manifest things, this is another funny one. You can argue it all you want, but fate, the fact that we know what fate is, like we've got a word for it, fate exists. And fate, like you can't argue it. If it's a natal chart, and a natal chart will say you're going to be feeling something on a certain day or have high energy, then you know it's pre-scripted. So therefore, you have no original thoughts. And if that's the case, then you 100% time live in the past. At no point can you say that you're controlling your thoughts, because your thoughts inevitably will be created from the outside and then into you, projected to you. You receive them and then think you're in control of something, but you're not. You're not in control of the outside world. The outside world does what it's going to do anyway, and we don't get to control that. We get to join in the play of that life. So if you imagine Gaia, the earth, is a consciousness in its own right, and there we are part of her consciousness within it. Collectively, we make up her consciousness. But that's like a cell in my body or one thought in my head thinking it's controlling everything, and it's not. It's controlled by the one mind or the black sun, if you like, in our reality, controls everything about this reality. Everything. Gaia has a natal chart. If she was created, she has a birth date. And if she has a birth date, she also has an end date. People like to argue it and go, no, we're going to do it. Well, time will tell. So anyway, yeah, that's all I wanted to touch on in there. Just small.
It's like a conscious living being on reflection, a bit like ourselves, I guess. You know, being
It's
conscious
exactly the
of
same.
that. And so the golden rule is we should not be trying to control anything outside of ourselves, but just be in that centered point of observation viewpoint, and to be comfortable in our being, and reference to that one mind. Well, Tracie, thank you very much for coming today. Would you be comfortable just to introduce yourself, and just, we go with the flow, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing the last couple of years, and maybe your journey reference to where you're at, and where you feel humanity's going, because this is the reference to the question of a deep dive into sharing consciousness. So yeah, it's lovely to be in your company. Just
Yes.
tell us first of all, where are you on planet Earth?
I'm in the heart of the redwoods in Northern California. So I'm
yeah.
Leggett. Leggett is the name.
Mm-hmm. Great. Isn't that where all the fires and we had, or is it not too far from you?
Surrounded with them right now, but
Okay.
general area, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Like Trinity County North, South, Santa Cruz, East, West, So a lot of fires. We had a lot of smoke here today. It allowed me to have a lot of thought about perception,
Mm-hmm.
and ties into what you're talking about right now with our consciousness, because I realized a few years back, like, my thoughts were not my thoughts. And it was really interesting, because when I get these insights, it's not, sometimes they're just a little teeny bit, right? And I just get this glimpse. And it's like, oh, you want to hang on to that glimpse to pull it in closer, but you have to be in it. So today I was really blessed with a couple of really cool insights with it, because I realized that's the timelines that we choose. So I could be here in fear, because my mind was going there. I Googled. That's how I know that these fires are around me, because it was like, whoa, my eyes are burning. It's smoky. But then I started to think, like, all these fires are going on, but it's a perception and a timeline. So we can choose every perception, we can choose where we want to go. But what creates the fires and everything's the hurricane coming in. Apparently, we have rain right now, which is really good because we want to put out those fires as long as we don't have lightning. But it's the global consciousness, the one. So that energy of the collective. So that means that there's more chaos, more people are in fear, and the 3D energy, because that's what's creating all of the environments around us. And if I just go, oh, I'm going to wish that I can change this instantly, it doesn't work like that. But the more of us that get our energy up, which is the expansion and tapping into our imagination, and our imagination, even Albert Einstein said, that's what he was saying. I believe I read about, maybe it was Benjamin Franklin, how he would hold a ball or something in his hand so that when he nodded off, it would hit the floor and he'd be able to get out of that sleep state and raise himself up just a little bit higher. So I was thinking today, because my energy is to attract. It just is. So that's what gives me my inner strength and connection and longing and bringing it all into the manifestation of one. It's hard to do that if you're coming in from a lower energy, which we're all in, which is survival, right? Fires burning. I mean, my hometown of Chico, Paradise, just burnt down. 50,000 people displaced, my dear friends. Things like that. Or my Facebook got hacked, so then I got disconnected even further from people. Then we had COVID. It's just been one shitstorm after another for everybody, to the point where people, even my dear friends, have changed, but it's because they're in trauma, right? So my whole thing is, and myself included, so in order to bring that up, we have to have that spark, something that just is like, thank you, God, or whoever it is that you want to thank yourself, right? But then that's a whole nother level. So in order to help people, if I come in way up here, they're not going to understand what I'm saying because I'm up here, they're down here. So how can we bridge this in between gap? So me feeling like the connector, like Rob, you're a perfect example, because I know the chemistry in my brain. You know what I mean? You have to, it's like love, falling in love. I mean, that just changes everything about the person. You're glowing. Or when I was pregnant with my son, this guy that worked in my office, because I didn't tell anybody. And this guy comes up to me and I'm at the printer and he's like, you're glowing. And I was like, what? And then he was like, you must be pregnant. And I was like, I had no idea, but that's what it is. So if we all just have this little, so I was so sad last week. I mean, super depressed. And it's just like, how am I going to make this breakthrough? Because I know I have to make this breakthrough on the wings of others. But I've always known I was going, as I get insight as to what's going to change. And it doesn't mean that I don't know how to manifest, or why haven't you done this or done that yet? I had to go through each and every experience that I went through. I mean, it had to like pull my guts out. You know what I mean? It's just your heart is like twisted, seriously. But if I had through all of these experiences, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am today on the levels.
Yeah.
Well, tonight would be to talk about that shift.
Absolutely.
Elevate. Let's find that spark. Right? Because I know, Rob, we talked about the end, and I was connected with you with that, which I still am. But today what popped in my head would be a good website or whatever Facebook page would be called, The Go Around. And then it popped in my head, the merry-go-round. And then I was thinking, even spelling it different, Mary. And then you can tie it into all these, then you can bring in the biblical. I remember riding the merry-go-round, right? And that's kind of what we're doing right now, is doing this merry-go-round. But I think we can, there is no death. You know what I mean? There is no end to
No,
any ever.
just to the physical.
Ever.
And the physical doesn't end, it just changes.
Yeah, it's a shift from the third dimension. And then we're not just going to shift to the 10th, even though we can in a blink of an eye. If we all just got into our imagination and for 20 minutes, if we all just happen to do it one day at the same time, 20 minutes, bam, we're already elevated.
But if that was the case and that could happen, then why doesn't it?
It will happen. It's
How?
going to happen.
How will it
Right?
happen?
You're talking about October.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, I'm just.
No, I'm saying there's a shift, but there's not an end. Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're spirit or consciousness into physical form.
So this is what I see happening at the end.
Okay.
Consciousness doesn't stop. What everybody knows, consciousness is the only thing that is continuous. Your awareness is something completely different to consciousness. Subconscious is still consciousness, but your awareness of it is different. So every time you go to sleep, you're entering the subconscious.
Right.
So subconscious is just death, if you like, or thoughts being fed to the conscious mind. So in essence, it's the black sun controls the subconscious that then controls the conscious.
So then,
And when you see merry-go-round,
so then it's the consumption of, it's the merger of the two. That's what's
yeah.
Right.
Well, it's going from the masculine energy back down to feminine, but it does that. Well, the merry-go-round, Mary is the moon, and the going around is the Taurus. So it's the moon going around, and the moon's a subconscious.
Right.
So that's the merry-go-round. But yeah, how can you explain it? Well, just like you can't remember what it was like to be first created in the womb. You can't remember that. You have no memory of it. Yeah, some people might say they have.
I told you last time that I started having connections of when my mom was born in 1952. And Yaya kept coming to me over and over again, YA. And so finally one day I looked it up, and it was this funny song from the 50s. And it's like, where were you in 1952? And I immediately popped in and I realized, oh my gosh, that was the first time that I entered Earth, right? Or the physical, right? I was an egg at that point. My mom was born, you carry it until you release, until it's time for you to produce. And I was her first child. So then I actually was able to go backwards through my ancestors, because we are our ancestors.
Yeah.
We just keep on
recycling
reincarnating. Right. But we're not stuck in the third, in 3D. We're exactly where we're supposed to be right now. It's just it's evolution.
I can explain that really simply. So everything on Earth starts off just like you do, as a single cell.
Mm-hmm.
And then what a cell really is just a bubble within the cell, and then bubbles separate and then join back up into different forms. When the bubbles stick together, they give a 3D form or a 3D shape. They're the primordial, the periodic shapes, the first ones, including the chestahedron or whatever it's called.
Right.
All the other platonic shapes fit into that one, and that's the heart. But once you understand how those shapes are created in the very first place, and then it's a projection of light, that creates its image that's not really there. So everybody thinks this is real, but it's just a hologram. But the evolution of consciousness works from that single cell until death. So from a single cell of conception until the death of a human life. That's Gaia, the same as that pattern, and that's a circle. So birth goes around, you have your experience, you go up in a spiral, really. You have your experience, and then it comes back down, and that's the end of that, and it starts over. The whole point in life for humans now, the evolution of consciousness, is to end the reincarnation cycle. That's the whole point in life. So once you realize who you are, the ones that are ready will then go to where we need to go, and then we'll, at the end, the plasma event's the equivalent to an ejaculation. So the souls going forward will go forward. The ones left, just like an ejaculation, not all sperm cells leave the testicles. Only only the sperm that are mature and to go forward will go forward. So the ones who are awakened are the sperm cells, in essence, that are going to go forward. The rest have to keep going on the reincarnation cycle until they reach that top level, and then they can go forward or not. It's a choice. Everybody gets a choice. Beforehand, that is. You don't get choice here. Once you've made the choice, this is the contract.
It's just the different levels. It's just
there's 9 levels. There's 9 levels of evolution of consciousness.
So, yeah, exactly. But getting the energy up and raising the vibrational frequency is our biggest power. That's the largest power that we have. I mean, bringing together of the cells, of the minds, of us.
So you raise yourself first. You do you. You work on you, and you've got it. It takes time, because what's hard about it is that everybody's still in the ego play, and because you're in the play, you're interacting with it, and all these things keep you busy. That's why we have business. It's busyness, and the busyness keeps you in the noise, and it's the noise that keeps you distracted. You need quiet to focus the mind. If you've got sounds, you can't shut the subconscious off. Yeah, and the subconscious is your ears. You can't turn your ears off. You will always hear sound, and it's the sound or the words that create what you see. So what you hear will create what you see. So if you don't raise your frequency, you won't change what you see. So you've got to do the internal talking yourself to raise your frequency, and you do that just by simply asking questions and then answering them yourself. And that's basically it. But if you stop at any level, you'll stay on that level. There's a lot of people out there that are on them lower levels and they think they know. You've got to keep going. Yeah.
So the answers we get is the feedback, isn't it? So what you're projecting outwards, what's coming out on reflection, it's having an effect. So how that affects everything, consciousness, like you said, brother, before, has a variation of colors. We talked about black being unity, white being duality. So once we bring that into order, balance, I think that's key, isn't it? Yeah.
You've got to raise the 9 levels of consciousness, or like the 9-step pyramid, and each level is a color. And when you get the top levels, it's like it ends in white and then black. Black lights, the one mind and oneness. But collectively, we're all going to do that as well. And that's what's going to happen on the Earth's plane. And the ones at the lower levels will go out first. They will all be dying first, and it goes up and it goes up and it goes up to the last one. So at the black light and ready to leave. That's how I see it working.
That will frighten a lot of people hearing that they're going to die. But let's assure people
anyway.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I get that, but I mean, we talk about energy, vibration, and frequency. Death is a form of illusion, isn't it?
It's a transition.
That's exactly what it is.
Good way of saying it. Yeah.
We're not dying.
No.
We are not flesh first.
Thank you for that.
We spirit first. As soon as people can get a spark of excitement, I don't care how they get it. It doesn't matter, because everybody's sparked by their own things. Right? I mean, what interests me and gives me joy might not be the same thing that interests somebody else and gives them joy. Even watching a little baby, laughing on, giggling, it's contagious. It starts to create this excitement. That's where I'm going. That's where I want everybody else to go. And it'll come to us. I'm on a roll right now with this and manifesting, because I'm understanding now Because once you click into this, so I realized crossing the spiritual threshold. It's a transition. This is what we want to do. This is not, this is not a bad thing. This is like our goal as one, right? Because spirit first already knows, right? Because we're gods. So we wouldn't create our own gloom and doom or anything frightening. Anything that scares me does not resonate with me. And I'm a Virgo. I have a Stellman Virgo, so I have to digest before it comes out. And it might take me, a week, 2 weeks. I don't know how long to digest and process. Now I can do it really quickly. But before, it actually took me a long time. But the thing is that we have to, I think that we're past the digestion part. I think that we're crossing the spiritual threshold right now. And as soon as you do, like I was doing today, I locked in. It's like, now I know where I want to go. And so I found this place in Maui that I want. I already see it. I see how I want to set it up, the healing center, hostel style, right? And it just started coming. Pretty soon. I'm playing Hawaiian music, cooking. And I don't even really like to cook. But today I thought, hey, I could totally be cooking. I love cooking. And I made like so much food, I had to deliver it to relatives. But I picked it all. Anyways, it gave me all this excitement and connection. And I started looking at the details of it, and it said fee simple, which I already know. That means that I can go and get that land, right? It's alloidal. We are the gods. We are the manifestors. I'm not
Rob,
bringing. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, sweetie. I was going to say we have a good question here. How can I ask? Beg your pardon. Can I ask, when we pass, what light do we follow? Is there a way not to be recycled back here again? So,
Okay. Yes
think.
and no. Many yogis of the past, if I can quickly answer this, many yogis in the past will think that you can end the reincarnation cycle before the end. Now, if you think about it logically, it would make absolutely no sense, because for you to raise up, the whole point in consciousness being raised is a collection. Not everybody's going to be raised up at the same time. So if that was the case, then people who were enlightened back in the days would end the reincarnation cycle. But where are you going to go? You are still within the Taurus. So you're either going to go to the black light and just be the black light and not have any experience ever again and don't know what it was like, you're just with the light, the black light, or you come back as a physical vessel. So people need to understand there is no point in awareness where you're not in servitude to something. Always, constantly. If you're a physical vessel, you're in servitude to the one mind. If you're the one mind, you're in servitude to every single living thing. You're the one doing it. So people need to get away from. I can't see how you can escape the reincarnation cycle within the cell that we're in. Where you're going to go. So the only time I say that you can end it is now in the end days. The reason for that, then you can escape Gaia's life. Otherwise, you're going to be reincarnated in Gaia's life continues. That's like cells of your body don't get a choice to not remanifest. They've got to remanifest. So in the same principle, every soul here has to keep remanifesting because they're part of Gaia's soul. So at the end of that, you get a choice where you want to go. But that choice is dictated now. So to answer the question, is there a light you can follow? Well, the way I say it, there's only one light at the end. And it's already, you choose before. You choose before you die. Like I say, you've got to raise yourself up and then die with your ego to know the truth here now. Now, why would that happen consciously or collectively before the end date? It would make no sense, because you'd end up like you wouldn't see the point in life anymore.
Yeah.
There's no point in what you say, that there's no point in going to Maui. There would be no point to open a healing center. These thoughts are based on going forward and not ending. So I understand that lots and lots of people think, because they don't say the end, will think, I could do this and I could do that. Now, okay, go around a different way. How would you manage that? Let's say the banks collapse and there is no banking system anymore. The money goes and all that crashes. What about the weather and the volcanoes and earthquakes that are going to build up and keep getting worse? where you're going to go, how are you going to achieve this, and how are you going to get the people to go there when they're too busy surviving, as it were, because that's where the mind is, or the ego mind is. When these things go wrong, people go in survival mode. If they don't think about an awakening, they're too busy thinking about where am I going to sleep tonight, or where's all my house gone, or all these other things. So people are going to think they're co-creators and they're going to manifest all these things. But whilst you're thinking those things, think about the thousands of people who are getting displaced constantly each day,
Right.
because of water.
I've already been displaced.
Exactly. So, but you see, this is how I see it working. You were forced to move. Yeah. So if you don't choose where you're going to go to, in the end, the mind or the sun and the moon will force it. Now you could say the man-made fires. Yeah. You can say man-made starting these fires. You could say man's creating the weather. You can say all those things. But what is in that mind's head who's flying the plane? The mind
it doesn't matter because it's not necessarily in his head. It is the consciousness that is fueling it. So if I'm over in Maui, and that's going to bring me the highest joy and love that I can be in, and I bring in my tribe of people, which are healers, right? And then we start bringing in everybody else and creating this environment. That energy can be so powerful and strong that it can help raise up, like a giant safety net, the energy of other. We don't have to have everybody.
The law of fellowship. That's what it is. The law of fellowship. And then you've got the law.
And I think that we reincarnate because we want to reincarnate.
You don't get a choice.
Because we're God in spirit. If we don't want to reincarnate, we can choose other areas to be in and states to be in.
Yeah, but you only get that choice at the end. Because if you don't know who you are, how are you going to do that? Consciousness. The only reason consciousness creates itself in the first place is to have the experience. But for consciousness to have an experience, it's got to divide itself from itself, so it doesn't know who it is. And the only reason it does that is so it can have the experience, and that experience is you remembering that you're the one mind. But once you've done that, what is that
time frame we're in right now? Right, we're coming to like the beginning of the ending of the beginning.
It's the death process. That's what we're actually in the death process in a minute. That's where the consciously mankind is in the death process.
Right.
So if you look into the death process and you see what happens during death, so there is a process during death, right? It's like life, and then the transition, like you talk about, and then you leave, and then you're in the other realm or the other reality. Well, that's what mankind's doing collectively now. So when you watch somebody die, you'll see them going through the 9 stages consciously, and at some point, the consciousness isn't here anymore. They don't notice people or recognize people. The eyes always closed, and then they'll say they want to go home. So at that point, once they say they want to go home, you know they've reached one of the 9th gates. I think it'll be the 9th gate, and after that, death will come. You will stop breathing, and that's death. People say it's the heart. It's not. As soon as you stop breathing, you're dead, because it's the lungs that create the electricity for the heart.
Right.
Your heart can still keep beating, but if you stop breathing, your heart will stop eventually, and then your brain dead, and that's death. Once the brain's got no oxygen's got in the brain, that's it, or no electricity's got in the brain, you're dead.
Of your flesh body.
Yeah, but then your vessel, there's a flash that goes to the brain, right? After about 5 minutes after death, there's a flash that goes to the brain, and they've done scans, and however, I can't work out why this happens, what's happening. So the only thing I can work out that's happening during or after that is the soul. So all our consciousness leaving the vessel, that's the flash, that big flash that lights up the brain. That's equal to the plasma event at the end of time when it burns this land. At creation, there's also a flash as soon as the sperm enters the egg. There's a big flash, a big spark. That's equal to the plasma event. So the end is still the beginning. But what people need to realize is what man actually is. You can't look at man and think this is man. Man's every single living thing out there.
Right.
It's all man. It is a lower level of consciousness. And the other cells, before they become birthed and become a man. So all the way I say it, all animals or life on earth are the cells that make up a vessel, one vessel, Gaia's.
Right.
So the same as you. You're made up of trillions of different cells that collectively make up you consciously. So once you go, so just like your cells keep getting reincarnated throughout your life until
Right.
you die, and then you collectively go forward and get reincarnated, and you take those cells with you consciously. So you're the God, you're the collection of all those cells.
And
So you're
our children as well, and our grandchildren and great grandchildren and so forth. And
they are their own souls. They aren't actually anything to do with you.
pardon
All
me?
you do when you talk about grandchildren or children, I think that people need to understand. I'm not saying don't love people, things like that. But I mean is you've got it once you raise up enough, you'll see that these children have got nothing to do with you. They choose when you come down, you choose who you want to be as a parent because you go, they're going to have the best script that I need to go forward. So you
Right.
choose your parents. So when people, this is the whole thing about people getting hurt and things that you choose the life script you got in every single thing in it.
Right.
There is no
Right.
good or bad. It's just an experience. But man wants to judge all the bad experiences that all these souls are having, and they just see them as negatives. And they don't see that you need trauma to rise up. Consciousness uses trial and error. That's what it uses. So burn yourself to know that you shouldn't be going near fire. It's a pretty simple lesson, and that's
Right.
how humans learn.
I was
You
going
gonna
to
say
say, thank you for that. Reference to the natural law. So there is a natural flow of things. So if humanity is going to raise its consciousness and become one with the one mind, you've got to stay as organic as possible. You know, when we talk about implants, what is an implant? Something which is alien to your body. So if you're going to have that, it's going to create resistance. It's going to create division. It's going to create separateness. But we are powerful beings. But when we talk about these end time, the end time, how important is it to put reference to the right fuel in our bodies? Because there's a huge taboo and, you know, reference to what we consume as well. How important is it at this particular stage? It's, for me, it's a non-brainer at any stage. Do no
Right.
harm.
Right.
You know, I know the veganism movement, and I love and respect and honor. Okay, but when we use certain words, certain labels,
Mm-hmm.
it sometimes creates boxes. For me, I do no harm, and I don't impose on the freedom of others. And my footprint is what I walk and talk in that unity consciousness of who I am. So that's what I leave. So in reference to people who are, we're not here to make anyone feel guilty. All right. But
you
how
can't.
important, yeah, please.
Right. First of all, you've got to get away from trying to take responsibility for other people. You just don't have to. If someone's going to get upset, that's their life script, and they are going to get upset. If you're going to take responsibility for everybody else's feelings, then you're not going to see anything in case it upsets some people. But when you tell the truth, it doesn't matter. It's the truth. So when it comes to eating food, it doesn't matter what you say. The other person's got their own script going on in their head. So, for instance, if I say to somebody, you eat meat, and you say you don't do no harm, it's hypocrisy. It is. You know what I mean? You can't say you don't know harm and eat a steak. That makes absolutely no sense. Because that animal had to die just for your taste buds. But the
Right.
biggest problem I have when people say that I'm projecting fear, when I say these things, it's not. People have a fear of giving up flesh, giving up meat. People have a fear of it. They think they need it. You were taught everything you know, every single thing. If you were taught that you could live off water and from the get go and everybody's doing it, you would live off water and it would be fine. But the taste buds, oh, they're strong, and most people are addicted to food.
Well, and it's
Full on
what they
addicted.
were on too,
Pardon?
right? It's how they were raised.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But
And
again,
becomes a
was that a
comfort,
mistake?
then it becomes
Pardon?
a food.
Well, sugar is supposed to be love. I think people eat sugar for love, or replace love, and salt is for anger. I think that's just
Mm.
what it was. I heard that the other day. So what does man do when they make the fake foods? They fill it full of sugar and salt. White sugar
Right.
and white salt, both bleach, got nothing to do. All it does is makes more acid, and it makes you acidic. But
So
when you
basically,
consume, okay, so this is how it actually works when you're consuming dead flesh, and this is what I say: you shouldn't eat dead flesh. It's pretty simple. Every cell, well, So everybody should know by now that water stores frequencies. Resonant frequencies can remain in water. That's memories. So water has memory. And if you don't believe it, just go and look for it. You research it. There's millions of places that can find this. And you can do experiments yourself to prove to yourself if you want to convince yourself. But memory holds water. Water holds memory. So in every single cell throughout the body, they are your memories. The memory is created by the resonance of your heart anytime it beats. So every time it goes up and down, that's a resonant stored frequency stored as DNA. That's what DNA is. DNA is just a double helix coming down through the heart, breath coming down, twisting, and whatever level it goes to is the pressure. That's what gets stored. But that pressure is based on the resonance. Yeah. So if you're angry, you'll have a small hole in the heart, and the pressure gets really high, and that's what you're going to store. That resonance, the anger resonance. If you can balance it and get it back down, open-hearted, you release that pressure, and you don't get angry. So being open-hearted is basically that's what it means. If you're open-hearted, the energy can flow through. The heart is the resistor. That's what your heart is. It's a resistor, and it builds up pressure and then it releases. So it's actually a capacitor as well. So once you understand that memory can be stored in water or in a fluid, and you understand that every cell of your body holds memories, then you'll understand that, okay, people need to understand, really, really, really need to understand that there is no difference in any life form. Every life form is just like man, is just like you. The difference is that the vessel changes, but the consciousness or the soul doesn't. The soul is the same in any single living thing. So, do you feel pain and suffering? Yes, you do. Do you feel fear? Yes, you do. Now, when someone says to me the other day that animals don't feel fear, and I'm like, well, so why do they run away? It makes no sense. Of course, they feel fear. That's what fight or flight is. It's being frightened of something or not being frightened of something. So everything feels fear. So if everything feels fear, what do you think you would be if you're watching lots of your friends and family getting slaughtered? You watch it. You can see it. You know, they go in there and they come out in a big bag and they're dead and they're hanging up and the blood dripping from their neck and you can see it. What do you think they're not going to be scared? Of course, animals are scared when they're watching things dying. If you only know your little prison, I don't care what it is, you can have the happiest cows on earth, feed them all the best food and love them to death. As soon as you walk over and slit their throat, all the rest of them cows now go, I don't have trust. Trust's gone now. You're loving, but then you do this nasty stuff. That's what I would think. If my mother had brought me up my entire life, and then when I got to a certain age, she'd just slit my sister's throat and then kill her and then ate her, I'd be like, wow, that's a bit wrong. Cows and animals in all of our life feel the exact same fear watching their friends get slaughtered, recycled to come back or reincarnated to come back to do these things again. The reason I don't judge animals dying is because those animals were people. And the people that ate the animals become the animals. It's karmic debt. How are you going to learn not to eat animals unless you become the animal and not eating yourself? So that's the karmic debt. So, right, eat what you want. Do whatever you want. It's your life and it's your karmic debt. So you want to eat flesh, you're going to come back. You guarantee you're coming back. You're going to get reincarnated. You can't eat animals and not get reincarnated. You have to learn the lesson not to eat the animal. It's you. You're eating you at a younger age. It's exactly the same as the elite eating children, where they do it from humans because they get even more fear because humans can understand it more. So they eat children and they abuse children if they do these things. They do all of this to get the adrenochrome that's stored in all the cells or in the blood. And what do you think happens when you do it to a cow? So all these people that judge the elite for killing humans and eating humans just for the adrenochrome, you're addicted to the flesh of an animal for the exact same reason. The exact same reason. And I just watched the other day, your intestines are much longer than any other animal. So when people say, oh, lions, tigers, and dogs, they all eat meat. Yeah, well, you're none of those things. You look nothing like those things. If that was the case, you'd have claws and fangs and you'd be able to chase something and catch it. Humans aren't very good at running after things and catching them. You go and catch a bird then if you're that clever. No, you'd have to use a weapon. You'd have to use something else to catch it. You have to use some invention. And since you haven't invented that either, you're even more pathetic. So the way I see it, you're simply not meant to eat flesh. Oh, and the other word, meat. The word meat is a hypnotic word. It's an English word. Yeah. Now remember, the subconscious reads and misses nothing. So when your conscious brain, your focal point can only focus at one thing at a time, one thought. Your subconscious soaks up everything. So in the one word, meat, you consciously think, oh, it says meat. Subconsciously, your brain reads, eat me, because that's there as well. It's got the word eat, then it's got me, and then you got the full word meat. So you got a sentence in one word, eat me, meat. Your subconscious says that and goes, oh, eat me, meat. I need to eat meat. And then you keep doing it, and then it becomes habitual, and it becomes an addiction. And that's what it is. So people don't like to think it, but it is. If you're addicted to flesh and you can't give it up, you're addicted to taste. You're addicted to your taste buds, and your taste buds want more of that. Now, if you weren't addicted to it, and it was just the flesh, and it was like, oh, I like to eat flesh, stop putting things on it. Get a raw steak, raw, and then eat it. No knife and fork. Don't cook it. Don't put savory on it or flavorings or anything like that. Just get that raw meat and dive into it. Or go a little bit further. Walk up to a cow and just bite it. See if you can get through the fur. 100% says you'll not do it because you're not. Now, walk up to an apple. Don't even use your hands. Walk up to an apple on a tree and just bite it, and you'll bite it. I don't get how people can't see the logic in, oh yeah, eating meat. Like, they've got lots and lots and lots of things before you can eat meat. You don't have to do a thing to get an apple, but wait for it to be ripe, or fruit, or any vegetable. But the other thing, when you look at the word meat, like I say, it's not the right word. You should be looking at the word flesh. And if you look at the word flesh, flesh didn't mean the flesh of a living being. It meant the flesh of a plant. That's what it meant. So that's what you're supposed to consume. So when it talks about in scripture about eating flesh, it's talking about the flesh of a plant. And it's talking about the milk from a cow or cheese or something like that from a cow. But you don't kill the cow. That's just dumb. If you've got a resource, you don't kill it, have a meal from it, and that's the end of your resource. That's
As people get raise their awareness by feeling better, you naturally start wanting to eat lighter and lighter. So I don't like to eat meat, so I don't eat meat. But I used to eat meat.
So did I.
But I always had a weird thing with, like, I was very picky on what I ate, and it absolutely couldn't look like it came from an animal. I mean, right?
Well, that tells you something, doesn't it? If you don't like the look of it, what you know,
you start feeling so much better.
I know.
People that would never even try, a green smoothie or something, and then they start, and it's like, wow, or they cut out alcohol. So I think that it's part of the process of raising your vibrational frequency,
and to be open-minded about it as well, not to be closed, and when you go into the natural rhythm of things, okay, that's what opens specifically the one mind. And when you're in that one mind situation with triggers, though, how significantly important, I don't see triggers as a negative. In fact, I don't see anything like good or bad, but so when you're getting triggered, it's something interesting taking place, isn't it? It's do you want to add anything to this?
Well, as far as I see, triggers are a must. Triggers are your lessons. I mean, if you didn't have any trigger, you wouldn't know what your lessons are. So anything that triggers you will create an emotion. Now, what's an emotion? An emotion's a memory of a thought that you've had, and you stored an emotion with that memory and a feeling. So when you retrieve that, so remember, there's only two thoughts: questions and answers. So if the questions, should I eat meat? So if I said to somebody, you shouldn't really be eating meat if you're still eating meat, I'm just saying something. Now, this is just Rob over here. That Rob you've just created in your head will then keep going on at you. You shouldn't eat meat. You shouldn't eat meat. That will only happen if the person that you spoke to has a trigger. And that trigger will bring up, you shouldn't eat meat, from a memory. And they already know that they shouldn't be doing it. You weren't born eating meat. Yeah, so you put that memory on yourself. So when someone's fighting, get off. When someone's fighting or arguing or being triggered, they are triggering themselves. You're the catalyst. They trigger themselves. They then continue with the same thoughts in their head, going on and on and on, which will lead them to feel uncomfortable. That's why the mind does it like that. So I'll go away and I'm fine. they've got that going on in their head, and they'll stop calling your names, they'll name call and all. They're not calling my names, they're calling themselves it because they're referring to the Rob in their head. So they're calling that Rob in their head, the names there, it's all about, but that's them. So their judgment on what I've just said is their judgment of themselves about what they are doing, the guilt and the emotions that they've got attached with us, that doesn't make them feel right. They'll project that out and blame you. And that's how it works. So triggers are a must. Trigger people. Tell your truth. People will get triggered. Don't worry about it.
It's a bit unprecedented, unorthodox for me to do this because I actually respect a certain individual. I'd like to mention his name. He's a good brother to me, and I'm not even going to use the word struggle. There seems to be a very positive conversation going on with Randall Kaiser at the moment because on the bioactivation platform, there's a wonderful exchange of dialogues. All I'm sending is alkalinity of that one mind and love. But with reference, I mean, two major situation here, because one is the death aspect, the end time. He's looking at as a narcissist. Not so. There's no such thing as good or bad words, but there is some, spell words, whatever. And the other one is because Randall likes to eat beef. He has a close association with the word beef. But I'm sending love, and Randall, we love you. But if let's just generalize. If you really want to raise the game and frequency and vibration and the consciousness of what's around us, then you are what you eat.
Right. Exactly.
So be more conscious aware, please. Thank you for that.
Look, Randy, I like Randy. I like his passion. I haven't got no problem with any human. If Randy wants to come on and have a conversation about these things, I'm well up for it. He says he mentions narcissistic and all these other things and thinks I've got a cult. I'm pretty shit at making cults. There's not so many people in it.
It's just different. It's just different levels and different perspectives. We're all meant to experience life the way that we experience it, right? If you're seeing the end, which I see as the transition, but I do see like the snake swallowing the tail. So you could call that the end, or you could call that the beginning. I prefer the beginning. But it doesn't mean that either of them are wrong, right? It's just because it takes all of us to come together as one, and part of that is accepting others. Even with I don't eat meat, but I'm not gonna poo-poo on somebody else that's eating meat. But what I can do is radiate and vibrate on a level that doesn't have meat and glow, and everybody else will come to me and want to know what my secret is.
The example,
right? And so I don't have to go to the same level of triggers that I might have gone to before, like, oh my God, that's so disgusting. I've done that before, like to my sister many times. How can you eat that? Oh my gosh. But I'm not like that anymore because we're all on these levels. And as we lift ourselves up, other people are going to want to know what it is. And then that helps raise them up.
It's all fate. It's already done. That's why I'm not too fussed about raising people up because it's all fate and it will happen in the precise way it is happening. That's how fate works. If it was meant to be, then it will be. If it's not, then it hasn't happened. So people who are ready will.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's based on the gratitude where for me, how I celebrate the oneness, where you can be anchored beautifully. And the secret to that is saying thank you. And for me, it's like this. If it's important for Rob and I to become one, I can't thank enough. And if it's not, I can't thank enough. So each way you're looking at it, it wasn't important. So you move on. So if something's important, you absorb, you take the nectar and you move on. And that's how my operating system is. Working with gratitude. And if I see something and I witnessed something yesterday, a certain trigger, and I went with the flow, I stay centered and calm, and I thanked the individual. I said, "You've made me feel guilty." And
You
he
did though.
apologized. I didn't mean to make you feel guilty, but you did a wonderful job. Thank you, because you've helped to raise my game.
Right.
So, I mean, we've got to be honest with ourselves. We've got to be sensitive. Everything is reflecting through us.
Yeah.
So the more loving we are to self first, that's what we're going to breathe in and breathe out. And the
Right.
more kind we are to self, the less evasive we are going to be towards our brothers and sisters. And in the Bible, and I respect anybody who understands and translates certain words, like the certain commandments, like love thy neighbor. I mean, animals are considered neighbors as well. So and myself, so you will reflect on this. So we're not stupid. We're not born stupid, I guess. Are we, Rob? Are we born stupid?
Ignorant, not stupid.
Okay.
We're just born ignorant. We forgot. And then we'll have to remember. The problem only started when people started giving you the wrong information about who you are because they didn't know. That's the problem we've got.
Basically, what we're saying is that, no disrespect to teachers out there or gurus who are sort of, maybe unconsciously leading the blind or leading themselves to a place where there's no solitude at all. But for me, the ultimate is being in that oneness. Because what are you doing when you're with the one mind? Ultimately, you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you
Always.
doing when you're what are you doing when you're so happy? You're raising it. What happens when you're not so happy? And you reflect that onto the consciousness of the planet. It's so yeah, and I get that. And can we be gentle? Can we be more kind to deliver this? Because Rob's talking about something which is like extremely controversial to most. And I'm getting feedback sometimes. Say, I'm getting flack a little bit as well. How can you support Rob? He's talking about the end of the world, a catastrophe. The world's going to blow up, and it's not sitting comfortably. So can we make that more palatable, Rob?
Okay, well, all you gotta ask certain questions. Now, okay, I'll give a scenario, and it might be a bit long-winded, but I'll hopefully make sense. I can remember watching a video years ago, many years ago. It was just a television. In fact, it wasn't even a video. And on it, there was a volcano had went off, and it had the railways had been messed up, and a lot of people died. And I remember someone asking one question: why do people live at the bottom of this volcano? And the answer that was given is what is happening right now. It's because it's not real until it happens. Now, all those people can live there. San Andreas Fault. You're living on a fault line. Tornado Alley. Why would you live in Tornado Alley? Because it's not real until it happens. Right? That's the problem that everybody has. Because it's not real until it actually happens. The end of the world's not real until it happens. Now, everybody's been sitting comfortable because you are in a trap. We are now in a comfortable position from the last changeover to the next one. But so people are just like completely forgetting about the cataclysms of the past. So
Or they don't know them. They don't know about them. And if
Well, they have
they're
to know about them. You can't
going
not know about them. The pyramids are there.
no,
Who built them? It's evidence everywhere that there's civilizations that aren't here anymore. Where did Earth come from? It's been here, according to science, for 14 billion years, I think. According to the Mayan calendar, 16.4 billion years. That's just the first stage. 70 billion years. Where are all these people? There should be a shitload of humans all over the planet, but there's not. So if people have been around for years, where's all the animals? Where's all the life? It should just keep going forward, and just be far too much life, but there's not. because it keeps going to a point and it stops and it wipes it out and a few are left and it goes forward again. That's what happens.
Right. And
Those
so
stages
stuck
are just like you consciously. So you are you and young, and then you got to puberty, and your whole brain changes. Everything about your world changes.
right.
That's what happens to the physical world. It got to a certain age, every section that goes through the stages, and it completely changes. Now, what happens to when you die? Your vessel gets destroyed. Yeah? You go forward, but your vessel stays. All those cells in the body stay.
Well,
The consciousness goes forward and then goes into a new egg and starts over. So just
right.
put that pattern onto Gaia, and it's exactly the same. As above, so below, as within, so without, so the universe, so the soul. It's
So
exactly the same.
we've been stuck, and I call it the cosmic orgasm. That's what I would like to call it. Uh, it's the opening of our brain, the expansion, the 90% that we don't use, that access to that. And so for our brain, and we're a cell, it's the earth, the layers beyond us, because there's many. It's we're in the center of the earth, but not like a globe and then center. It's like center here, and it expands out and out and out. But until
Mhm.
we raise our vibrational frequency to open and trigger, it's like a switch, that opening and that release, and that's the spiritual threshold. So in my mind, talking about things like meat and stuff like that, it's good for the people that it helps, and because everybody's on their own levels. So whatever, I don't believe in knocking anybody down, because that's not our job to knock down, because anybody can knock down. It's to figure out, how can I raise up and not judge you? How can we all come to centerness, into a state of love and peace? Forget about all the elements that are surrounding us, because it's constant chaos. If we allow constant chaos, even in our own minds, we have to quiet our mind down, right? Let all the stuff go so that we can get centered, connect with nature, the law of nature. And then we start feeling those aha connections that start to remind us and bring us up. But I think that it's like a cosmic orgasm. We get to a certain level, it triggers and releases it.
Tracy, I thank you for that. That was absolutely divine. For me, the ultimate is to know why we exist. That for me is the ultimate orgasm. That when I open my eyes, and that's one of the reasons why I decided, and I'm a guardian of this, sharing this platform, is to know the essence of why we open our eyes. That for me is the ultimate orgasm, because that the markers that we will leave in terms of feedback, you can't fake that orgasm.
No.
Okay, because the intention that you're creating wherever you go, and what seeds that you're planting, is
Mhm.
going to be an eruption of having the appetite and desire to want to know more than the sum that you were 5 seconds ago. You're going to go much deeper into
Right,
question.
right.
Yeah. But that's walking your path. That's walking. And it can be a bit uncomfortable. Sometimes people think I can get really passionate about things. And, with this word judgment, I'm not. Sometimes I'm observing, because I'm trying not to. I'm doing my best sometimes not to overly stimulate and trigger in terms of representation of the so-called truth, which is also, by the way, if we're not very familiar, truth is also like a living being expanding.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's our
So
That's where we're going to, is the truth.
yeah.
If you've been asking that and wanting that to know, then that's what's going to come forward. We're the writers of our future. We don't just end here. We we write it. So everything we're putting out there and thinking and letting consume our minds is what is going to be coming back to us. So
the
That's your
ultimate,
subconscious.
the ultimate,
I
the
think you're
ultimate
doing
vision, the
job.
ultimate vision is love, and it begins with self, and obviously to manifest something with that. And for me, it's about unity.
Mm.
It's about bringing. Do you want to add something to that? I mean, in terms of bringing the unity consciousness into one and
Right,
having
personally,
that celebration.
I think
And
everybody, it's inevitable anyway, because that's what consciousness does. Consciousness
yeah,
starts as one, separates into trillions and trillions of different parts, and then comes back to one, and that's what it does. Yes, I think personally, I think if the journey is what people need to do is focus on them. You don't need to worry about sharing your truth if someone's going to be triggered, because all that's going to do is you're not going to answer somebody or talk about something out of your fear that somebody's going to be upset. So if there's no fear, you will speak freely, you won't tell lies, yeah, and you'll love yourself. First and foremost, you have to look, you are the creator. So if you don't love yourself, then you're missing the point. So
And share from the heart,
yeah,
right?
so
Bring
you've got to love the
down through
creation.
the
You
heart.
have to love who you are, but for that you have to remember who you are. And once you do that, it's automatic. You don't have hate in you, and
and
that's
you
what
wa-
I
yeah, and you're not trying to control what is
no.
outside of you anymore.
You're
You
No,
sharing.
know,
stop.
You
You,
share your love,
yeah, you don't judge, right?
right?
People think what I say is a judgment. It's not. It's an observation. It
Right.
doesn't change the facts. So I can say, oh, you don't really want to be eating meat, or you shouldn't be eating meat. Yeah, but really, I'm talking to me. But if someone else listens to that or hears that and thinks I'm talking to them, and then they judge that and think that I'm judging them, but no. The difference between a judgment and an observation, a judgment is it's happening anyway. So it's an observation, and I can't observe it if it's not happening. So it's an observation. The judgment of it would be me going, you need to stop doing that because I said so. Right? I don't care what you do. It's your life. It's your life script. You're going to do it anyway. You're either going to eat meat or you're not. It's not that I have fear for the animals dying either, because they're going to die anyway. When people talk about having the fear of death and me talking about the end times and everyone having the fear of it, everything dies. Everything.
one of the things that why I did okay in business as well is the fact that I was empathetic to somebody. So if someone said, "Yeah, I need," because I don't believe in competition and I'm not a value destroyer. So I said, if somebody wanted, I was a car salesman for about a year or so, and I was very passionate about selling Italian cars. I love Italian cars. And so if somebody said to me, yeah, I want a 5-door, not a 3-door, I'd question immediately. Why? Why do you want a 5-door? Why not a 3-door? And they'll say, why are you asking? Because if I put you into a 3-door instead of a 5-door, I've just saved you £1,000. So I'm trying to help you, not trying like to lure you into a cave.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
might not need a car. So it's qualification ultimately. And it's like these 6 base questions: what, where, when, how, who, and why. And to understand your main objective in life when you want to get from point A from point B. And what I noticed about the rat race mentality is that people are in a hurry to get there, to the so-called the promised land. And when they get there, they say, "I've just won." What did you win? Because if you win the
Exactly.
rat race, you're still a rat. So my understanding is, how do you come out of that rat race mentality, which we could argue was a degree of programming, conditioning, and thank you, because to learn, to understand, you have to experience the opposite polarity, yeah, to bring things into balance. So we can only share the tools. I'm sharing with you guys what's working well for me personally.
Exactly. Yes. So that's what I do as well. I share
And
what I
Tracy,
see, and then I'll share how I did it. But I'm
Mhm.
not saying that everybody else needs to do what I did. It was hard work. This information didn't just fall into my head. I had to sit and spend many, 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 many years, many hours of each day, focusing intently on answering questions. And when you get an answer, like, okay, you just ask the question, should I eat meat? There's the question. You've got to answer that question. and you've got to keep asking it and keep asking it until you can't answer anything else. There's no more answers, and the answer is you shouldn't eat meat. But you've got to get there. You know what I mean? You got to say something.
Thank you for that. Now, if you're comfortable with this, Tracie, because I had the pleasure of getting this information through you, is the fact that Tracie is quite conscious of her previous, incarnations. Now, and would you be comfortable just to talk a little bit about your previous incarnations and where it's brought you to this stage right now, reference to what we're talking about, this event that's going to take place, where specifically, I mean, most people, I mean, the kind of flack I'm getting is like, hey, Barrett, nobody knows an end date.
Right.
And if anybody pretends they know, they don't.
It's not going to work, right? It's going to shut that person off. Like, because I've thought about it a lot. So I'm like you, Rob. I've spent many, 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 many years actually looking back. It's many more years than I even realized. But I believe it was actually our lifetime. We were born for this role, to this deep inner work for a reason. Not everybody's going to get it. No, people aren't going to be interested in everything that we are. It's kind of really out there.
Can we use some fancy words? Because, gimmick sells, ladies and gentlemen. Can we start using words like rainbow activation, ascension process? Because people love words.
Right.
I mean, when we get excited, let's light the Christmas tree here, shall we? Because these are the words that the spiritual community wants to hear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's make ourselves more popular, shall we? Not less popular. Yeah, let's activate our rainbow bodies and the consciousness of all lights to come into union.
And when we do that, all these questions fade away. We don't have to it's almost a distraction trying to go into all the intricate details to bring it out. And my purpose, which I've always known, is to bring things down into their simplest form.
That's what I do.
Creation's going to be simple. You do not have to be a rocket scientist.
Yeah, I love you.
This
Beautiful.
out. How can I bring this down to the simplest form?
Love
that's what I'm trying to do through the talks. As far as what brought me through my ancestry is just a few years back, and it actually goes back. I was the one that asked my great grandma before she passed to write down on some pieces of paper, who my ancestors were. And I remembered her telling me that her mom's name was Cubadel. I was like, Cubadel? It's just such a bizarre name. But a few years back, it just popped into my head, and then Cubadel would not leave me alone. And little things happened like Dell. What's Dell? And then I was like, the farmer in the dell, the farmer in the dell. So, and I always ask before I look, I ask myself, I ask for guidance. And so that's what came. And then I'll start looking up, and it means meadow. And then Cuba took me to the cube, which takes you even to the chestahedron, right? And so we're actually, if you want to bring it down to geometric form, that's where Cubadel brought me to. And so I was able to even take it and connect it to the stars, bring it down in, go inside out. But Cubadel's what it is. And so I just started getting connections through Cubadel, through trees. Like today, I went through the drive-through tree and went and connected with that, the earth, the stars, the vibrational frequencies. And it brought me to like the citadel. So I believe that would be the seat of our soul. But I didn't realize, right? It's just I get these downloads and these connections. And so we're actually like the little drivers inside. And consciousness it's already been written. It's already streaming. It's all around us. It's in the ether. But when we get to a vibrational frequency, it's right there. We can pluck it. It's just
question for you.
Yeah.
question to you, Tracie, if I may. I know I know what Rob has said on this topic, but reference to crop circles, it's not a teasing question. It's not a particular question that may sit comfortably with some people, because I know that people look at crop circles as if it's a form of guidance. In your own beautiful interpretation, what is crop circles for you, Tracie, if I may?
Well, no matter how a crop circle got there, it's still going to let off the vibrational frequency. Right?
Do you,
I mean,
is it negative? Is it positive? Is it anything that we should pay attention to? Is it important?
I think they're fantastic.
Why is it there? Why is it there? And where is it taking us? Who created it and why?
Well, I just think that they're fantastic. I
All
think
right.
that
And
the vibrational frequency of the print itself, the design, is lets off the frequency and resonance.
so is it raising consciousness? Rob,
Yeah.
is it raising consciousness? I know what Rod's going to say in a minute, but what do you feel? Come on, say it. Rob, are you there?
Oh, you want from me? Sorry. Well, no, I wouldn't say it's not raising frequency. And even if they are man-made, again, if you keep going with the question and going, well, who controls man? The mind controls absolutely everything, including anything man-made, including chemtrails, crop circles, man-made fires. All of these things came from the mind first. The mind created it, put it to the man invents it, then thinks he's invented it. And all these things, right? Crop circles, whoever created it, is it raising frequency? Is it not? It depends on who's saying it. So if you say it and you think certain things, it's raising your frequency.
Yeah.
So everything it could be a brick in a wall that you could question, get some answers from, and it can raise the frequency. So anything can do it. Geometric shapes can do it. Everything's doing it. The mind's actually doing it. So yes, it can raise frequency. If you want to sit and fight and argue about it, it can lower frequency. It depends on who's viewing it.
What about people claiming that they are grid keepers? I mean, I've been in the beautiful company of an ascended master. He calls himself Rick Dewars, and I must say he has had a huge positive impact on myself. But he's looking at the skies. But he has a very powerful. People are following him. And where do you think Rick is taking people? To themselves, ultimately, isn't it? Have you heard of Tracie? Have you heard of an individual, an ascended master called Rick Dewars? No.
No.
But I think, Rob, you've had the pleasure of communing, connecting. So many positives can be said. Yeah.
Look, everybody's got positives and negatives. I don't. There's nothing wrong with what people are doing, right? First of all, I can look at it and make an observation and say, from my point of view, but from their point of view, it's perfectly fine. So what Rick says and what Rick claims is what Rick says and what Rick claims. All humans can make lots of claims. We do it every single day. I'm a policeman. I'm a librarian.
Is he raising the consciousness? Is he affecting the plants, the minerals, the animal kingdom? I mean, he does say it's okay to eat fish, because I've had the pleasure of. He says because the way fish produces, because the fish drop their eggs and they go away. They don't fart around and wait to see
Depends on the fish. Not all fish do that. So that's just a dumb one. It's a silly argument.
I want to eat the fish. I personally don't want to eat the fish.
Okay. That could upset a lot of fishes.
Right. Is he raising consciousness?
Is he harm?
Right. If anybody thinks they get to control anything, you're just wrong. You're just flat out wrong.
That's a simple way of looking, because Tracie, thank you so much for that. You saw how you got me excited. I don't know if you were aware, but the word simple. So if something's not simple, move away. Right. Because natural law is to keep things simple. Yeah, not to complicate.
It's the only way that we can come together as one.
The only way you're going to understand something is to keep it simple.
You have
Science made it all complicated and separated it so you couldn't work it out. I'm
right,
telling you, I can't express how simple the pattern
So,
is.
right.
so we're saying that they had a bad agenda.
There was no agenda. The
Thank you.
mind had an agenda. There's no
Thank
good.
you.
There's no
That's
good.
so
People
powerful.
need to get.
Most people struggle, and to be very, very, very transparent as always, I was struggling a little bit. But then when I see people in my life now, okay, from specifically January of this year, I see myself. Enlightenment for me is when I lock eyes, I see myself. And how do I want to treat myself? Mwah, mwah, mwah. Yeah, not
Yeah,
look at him. You know,
right.
he's better than me. He looks better than me. He's got a watch better than mine. And, so if we could leave all these things aside and simplify things, ultimately, the one mind, what would the one mind see ultimately? That is to be or not to be,
Yes.
So, and we're not judging, are we? We're
No.
not saying you're good or bad.
Judging who? Look, everybody's me anybody. If everybody's the one mind, everybody's the same thing. So the only person you can judge, or the only thing you can judge, is yourself. And what you're judging is where you're going to reincarnate next. That's it. As for
That's
the
the
elite or anybody else doing things, stop giving power away to man. The mind did it. Right? This is just an illusion. It's a projection. It is a hologram, if you like, but it's a hologram of hard light. It isn't like you can just walk through things like a normal hologram. It's hard light, but it's projected light. And we turn all the lights out, everything's pitch black. You're not seeing anything, so nothing's animated. It'd still be there, but you wouldn't last very long because there'd be no food or anything else. So I don't give power away to man. I don't say man's controlling this or man's controlling that or man's doing this, because soon that is the belief. That's the belief in the devil, if you like. Man or the ego is the devil. The negative part of the ego life is the devil. Your judgments about other things and doing things about it negatively is the devil or evil, if you like.
Okay, this word indoctrination, because we spoke about it, and people do empower the word birth certificate, for example. And I genuinely believe, and that's how I've managed to do it. You don't have to physically destroy anything in terms of a piece of paper, because you're energizing by giving it validation. So if you reclaim that back, it's the all-knowing. Yeah, the consciousness of knowing why you exist. So what I do, thank you, birth certificate.
Right.
Thank you for slapping me here. Yeah, because this is all part of the process of waking up.
Yes.
Right.
So if you can't celebrate and thank those who supposedly tried to cause harm,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't be in this. So I don't want to go back in time and change anything. And I don't need the future, because the future is now, because I'm at the place where I am excited.
Right.
And that's why we're all together today, aren't we? Because we don't want to wait for tomorrow, ultimately.
Right.
Okay. So when even Rob's talking about an end time, for me, and what we've touched on a lot today, is about being conscious aware. All right. And what's that going to do?
Well, what it's not going to do, it's not going to stop it from happening just because you're aware of something happening. That's
Why
what
would you want to stop it? Because we're saying that the ultimate objective is to not reincarnate again.
It's to know. The ultimate objective is to know who you are. And to know who you are is to know you're the one mind. And by the time you get to that stage, you've worked out how the whole rest of it works.
And when you know who you are, you're a creator. So
you are the creator.
You're the creator. So
you're the creator, the creation, the dreamer, and the dream. You are. It's all you. Your world is in your head. Like I say, every single person you've interacted with, even now, the Barrett and Tracie for me, only exist in my head. I'm talking to a plastic screen that doesn't do anything.
Right.
You aren't really there. You're just pixels of light.
Yes.
You're in another part of the world. This isn't real. You know what I'm saying? It's just a way of using something, but again, I wouldn't call it real. This is not. You create this character, or your world, in your head. and then you go around oblivious thinking it's real and it's out there. But it's all within you, and you project it out
Okay.
onto the world.
You want to? Shall we be a bit brave today and really put some markers out there, because we touched on incredible stuff as far as I'm concerned, and in terms of like the build up to an end date. Let's look at September, October, November, December, right up to, let's say, early part of next year. Should people be fearful of certain banking issues, for example? Because within the communities, I'm hearing so many things like, oh, there's going to be shortage of this, shortage of that. Like people will go with their credit cards and try to draw money, and we might not be able to draw as much as we would like to.
But if
So,
we creators would be filling our bank accounts with whatever we know our value is worth.
we're infinite, and we're
Right.
operating from not scarcity, but from abundance.
Right.
What is
You have
abundance?
to get out of fear. You have to get out of fear. Once you get out of fear, you step into your creator. That's what I was talking about with this property in Maui. So I'll finish the end of that story. So when I was looking it up and I was reading, I saw the word fee simple and all that. Well, when I went back later and looked up on the same webpage, it wasn't there. And I went, that's pretty cool. Because when I was at my height earlier today, and I could feel, it's just like I was in the zone. I know how to do this. I can get this property. This is what I want to do with it. And I just let all my dreams, I've been trying to figure this out. It's like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? And even though I've written all this stuff, it just came to me today. And it's like, that's when you step into your ancestors and the memories and the knowledge on how to obtain it. So when I went to show my uncle later, because I was like, check this out, and it wasn't there, I was like, oh, whoa. Serious. And then I was like, I hope I took a screenshot of that. And I went back in there. But it showed me. So when our energy is low, and it's like we're trying to look for something on the internet, which I've had so many issues with the past couple of years. It's just been horrible. And you're blocked and you're blocked and you're blocked and you can't find this. But I could have my niece look it up, and she has like a billion other connections directly to whatever it is I'm looking for. And it's like, what the hell? Well, it's the frequency. So as we elevate up, what we see on our screens is going to adjust to the level that we're at.
Yeah.
I haven't given it thought to how all that works, but I'll probably, when I get off this tonight, it'll probably be something I'm, of course, going to
I can tell you exactly how that happens.
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
It's just simply resonant frequencies, like attracts like. If you raise your frequency, you're resonating at a certain vibration. That vibration, okay, any question you ask has a vibration. The answer you're asking has a vibration, but depending on what you're resonating at will determine the answer you get. Hence, you've got to keep asking the same questions. It all happens every year. You'll ask the same questions, but this time you'll have a different answer because you've raised up slightly. So every year goes up. So yes, 1 year you'll ask the question on your screen and you'll get an answer. Don't really like that answer. The next year you'll ask it the same time. Facebook shows this because I've got thoughts in my head. Then I'll go on Facebook. The memory will be there, and I'll go, I was thinking this a year ago to the day.
I know.
That's how you know. But that's how it works. So yeah, it's resonant frequencies, like attracts like. So if you're resonating at a certain frequency, something will resonate or gravitate towards you at that frequency. That's how you manifest things. You see it in your head, you see the images. Those images create a resonance, and then it'll attract it in the real world. And that's how manifestation works.
How do you guys feel about, doing a future show or a couple of shows in as far as like visualizing, like from an event point of view, in terms of, when we're talking about creating a certain environment or world, because I certainly have certain pictures that, you know, I'd like to share with our beautiful viewers out there. Do you feel that's healthy? Do you think that's going to help raise the frequency more?
I would love, because if we
It's
all
so-
just focused and on finding our joy, I don't care if it's going to see a baby or, you know what I mean, whatever it is that brings us up, that allows us to connect with these things that are higher, which help us just keep going up. So we don't have to worry about everything. I was at an event, and this young kid was talking to me, and I forgot what I was going to say about it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Same question. I mean, reference to how important, Rob, is it to, you know, sort of visualize, put pictures in our mind in terms of what we want to project. For me, it's about sharing. It's for me the ultimate currency is merit, the spiritual merit. You know, what intention are we giving when we're communing with our brothers, sisters, and then the animal world, the kingdoms, mineral? How, for me, it's about guardianship, and that's what I liked about the global people's monetary system and simplified divine law, because it is a game changer in terms of we're leaving an imprint, a footstep, a signature, a certain marker. Is it raising? Because when you're conscious aware, you don't have to use words. You don't have to talk. People
Right.
can feel, right? Are we that dumbed down that we can no longer feel? For me, the ultimate game changer when I'm with people, can I feel their pain? What is the greatest pain? Not knowing why I exist.
Yep.
I don't think there's one bigger than that, is it?
That's the cause of all pain. All pain and suffering is karmic debt because you didn't know who you were, so you just transgressed the natural laws, the 50 universal laws. It's just balancing energy. So all those opinions and the anger and all those feelings you get, that is it.
Know thyself, because everything is within.
So
So,
I
and yeah.
remembered what I was thinking. So
Okay.
the young kid I'm sharing with him like I'm sharing with you, and he says, "What about technology? You know, how is technology going to go through this shift?" And I look at him, I go, "Are you into technology? What have you designed?" And he's like, "Nothing." I go, "Then it's not your problem to worry about. That's not your gift. That is not your area. So don't be messing around worrying, because that's just a distraction when that's not even that has nothing to do with you." That right. So if we just stay in what we are good at and what we love, then the technical people do the same thing. It will all come together at the higher frequency, because the lower frequency will just fall off. Right. It just is like a shedding.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, I would just question when people talk about technology and what's going to happen with the technology. Technology hasn't changed. It's like the first civilizations with technology, it was bigger, obviously, because they were bigger, but they had the same problems. So they're going to solve them the same way. Like I said the last time, they might have used different elements to control energy or electricity if you want. They might use different elements, because you have water, earth, air, and
Fire.
fire. So you got all those three things to create energy.
And back to that simple form, like the chestahedron, right? And the platonic solids. It's going to come back to the torus. It's going to come back to the truth, which
It
the
always
truth
does.
is going to be the simplest form. So that's how we already know what's going to kind of happen, because we've already lived through this cycle, the merry-go-round, over and over and over again.
Endless. It's constant. It's never
right,
not been,
right,
and it's never been.
right. And so it's going to bring, now we're
This
coming back to that simplest
yeah.
form.
So, brother, Tracie, darling, I was going to say that this event, forget what we call the name. The name is irrelevant.
Right.
This event, we don't want. Do we want to call it even the plan? Because words are creating discomfort.
Yeah.
But let's just leave it alone. But ultimately, this event, this window, this which is going to open up, ultimately, it's not the end.
No.
No, it's the end. No, when I say ends, people think it's nothing. No, the end's the beginning. It's a circle.
Yeah.
So you get to that lane, which is the start lane. You go around, and you come back to the start lane, which is the end lane, and it starts again. It's
But
like it's like a race. It's just a
we still notch up.
yeah. Well,
Right.
as it's
So
going
I'm
around,
really
consciousness
excited.
goes up.
I'm
Right.
really excited.
Right. So it's like the spiral staircase.
Yeah, and you get to a point. It's a
Right.
corkscrew, and it gets to a point. It's the Fibonacci spiral, except the Fibonacci spiral is
But
at
Rob,
zero point. It spirals up,
but
and then it goes back to
you
the point.
yeah, but you have mentioned, and this isn't a dig at you. It's just that people have whispered in my ears, and rightly so. I want to bring it to the surface in the most loving way.
Yeah.
People also found the feedback that I got was that, okay, you're giving a specific date, and then you're saying before we get to that date, it is important that we get to a state of a particular place physically on a geographical location. I find that some people find that a little bit amusing, and I don't. And I'll tell you why. Because we're talking about earth changes, right? Things are speeding up.
Yep.
And I've noticed a huge difference where I live on. Well, when somebody asks me a question like, "Where do you live?" High frequency, low frequency answer. Low frequency, where I live in Bulgaria. High frequency, I live on Mother Earth. But on a lower vibrational answer, yeah, what's been happening in Bulgaria in the last 10 years is that things are getting, summers are getting more hot, winters are getting less cold. Or is it? I don't know. I mean, I have seen a change from my perspective. So what I'm trying to say, not so many words, earth changes are real because the planet is moving in, it's relocating in terms of its position. So
Right.
things are changing.
The planet doesn't quite move
It's
like
not
that.
changing.
It's a
Oh,
flat
beg your
plane,
pardon.
and the
All right.
plane itself is a cymatic pattern, and it's a cymatic
Okay.
pattern that changes.
All right.
What we call the Schumann resonance,
Mhm.
Okay.
that vibration, that's the
Okay.
tone of the Earth or the resonance of the universe at the minute. It is going up, and when it gets to a certain pitch, the Earth surface will completely change. That's why
Yeah.
we've got different maps from in the past, because it was a different cymatic pattern, and now it's a cymatic pattern.
So you're saying that being the conscious, aware observer, not passing judgments, good or bad, born or deaf, the dual aspect of our observation, it will help that if we position ourselves in a particular place through the Trinity, because there's going to be some kind of ascension. And if we can do this collectively, it's never been done.
Not in this
And
cell life, no. Not in this
so
reality.
I think that wherever we feel guided to go.
That's what I'm saying.
It-
People don't need, like, I haven't got a passport. I
Yeah.
have no money. I have no means to get to where I think we need to get to.
But
None.
you're a god, and when you
Yeah,
cross,
yeah.
right,
So
can we
I
fly?
have no fear.
you don't have a passport.
I have no. That's what I'm saying. No, but from ego perspective, I have no passport. I have no fear of it. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
I have
That's
no
what
fear of having no passport. I have no fear of having no money. I know when
Okay.
I need to get there, the path will be
it'll
shown.
exactly.
So you don't have to consciously choose it.
This is what Activator would like to propose. So why don't we, through the Trinity, and more will come. So what we put out there is in terms of, we're not saying we're prophets or whatever, but with the alignment of the Trinity, so we're becoming more conscious, aware, and our observation viewpoint, we have greater clarity and picture, shall we say, not so many words. So we could start getting putting like certain events out there. We could say in September, certain monumental things are going to happen. October, and do we need people to take us more seriously? Yes or no? That it's not important, but
Yeah.
we can put the money where our mouth is, right? You know, we can say, well, we feel this is going to happen because you're saying something interesting is going to happen in March, let's say, or do you want to just? I mean, we're an hour and 40 at the moment. I mean, I'm happy to go a bit longer, but or we. Hey, it went very quickly today, but
I'll be quick.
we could do another show on this on itself. But you know, but what? And I'll ask you the same question in a minute, Tracie. But Rob, where do you feel? How important is it to put something out there for people to bring that greater stability and unity, rather than all of us trying to, like, not that we are particularly, but what I'm saying is that so that people don't try to snap and attack, rather than to become a greater community at large.
All you got to do is go back to scripture and see what it says about the end times and what will the consciousness of man be like then. It says that no one's going to believe in the God or the Creator anymore. Man's going to be fighting against man. We're pretty much there. Do you know what I'm saying? So the only people that are going to realize who they are the ones who look in. You can call it God, you call it whatever you want, but unless you realize that it's you, then it's not you. You make the claim and you are what you claim to be. It's as simple as that. But I think that it's fate anyway, and no matter what ideas you put comes out your mouth, if you're enlightened, then the things that are coming out your face are for the truth to go forward. So if you're saying things like, I think we should do this, then that's probably what we should do, because you thought it and then you project it out. And if you're from the one mind, then that's how it works. So I always go with the flow.
Or maybe that was my thought that I was sending to you so that you would ask.
But that's okay. You're the one mind,
right? Because that's
everybody's one mind.
That's how it works. That's how it can work.
So it's going to create more synchronicity, isn't it? So it's like people get more synchronized in terms of, you know, the one mind. And so we're saying that, in my understanding and my behavioral patterns so far to date, because we're all bringing incredible gold to the table, is in terms of, like, when I go places, whether it's people in authority, governments or whatever.
That's all going to go away.
Well, yes, it is. But do you feel that there needs to be a little bit of a bridge? Because I don't want to use words like mentorship and things, but do you feel that divine is a good word, divine, not leadership, but in terms of, like, words, can you see it creates limitations, but
guides.
Some kind of guides, divine guides, so that you encourage people, neutralize, harmonize, a bit like Activator, because it's not mine. I'm not claiming this platform is mine. It becomes more powerful when you say it's ours.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like saying it's my truth. Like, people can, but Rob, that's your truth. That Rob, that's your pattern. It's your end date. It's like, it's not mine. I didn't write this down. These are patterns that exist.
Right.
That you
were see.
Pardon?
Not everybody can see those patterns yet. So it's
exactly.
it's not their truth. It doesn't mean it's not the truth.
Yeah, just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. If it's a pattern, it just means you're not ready with your two eyes to see that level of consciousness. That's all it is.
Yeah. And if you being the teacher, being aware of that, allows you the opportunity to address the that you share it with in such a way.
Yes.
To spark their mind to think on a different level or a higher level.
For me, it's that the highest. I don't want to use to say I'm a teacher or whatever, but guide would be to help you to remember, ultimately, you know, and not to help encourage people to unlearn, to take certain layers off.
That's hard.
And so that It is
That's a
hard,
lot of
brother. I mean,
thought.
it's supposed to be hard. I mean, good educate. Well, I don't want to use the word
It-
education. The pain, the struggle has to have meaning. You
Right.
know,
Does.
because a lot of people, like
I
we
don't
talked about.
I don't know many people who are going to awaken who are happy. I don't. If you're happy,
Can you say
you
that
have
again?
no
Because that was
reason.
very powerful. Can you say that again slowly, please?
I don't think there's many people who are going to awaken who are happy. You can be happy once you've awakened, but if you're happy and you're still in the ego world, you have no reason to change. You have no reason to question anything. The reason people
Ignorance
are
is
talking
bliss.
to people who go to university is they've invested a lot of time and energy into getting where they are with those thoughts. And
Yeah,
then
but
you
what
ask them
happens
coming
if
along,
a volcano goes off, brother? What happens if and I'm not encouraging it. It's not, what
I
if
am.
something catches fire, or what are they going to
Well,
look at? How let's
like I
let's
say,
not divert too much, but Hawaii's been in the picture for quite a while now, and a lot of people have been asking me, so what's happening? Are they using these powerful frequency devices to cause these fires? And we can see what's going on. Is
I
it
would say
is it a
yes, but
distraction? It's a distraction.
right. Or it's just it's a level,
it's okay.
a
Why?
level.
Okay. Oh, from an ego perspective, what does man say it's doing? So man says that there's some other men flying planes using say lasers. I doubt it's lasers. It'll just be focus light. They're focusing light and starting fires. Let's say they are doing that. So what's their agenda? So they're doing that, and they want to buy the land up because all the rich people, their houses didn't burn, but all they want so they can buy the land. Why? Well, that tells you something else.
Yeah,
The
they want to
the
create
elite
fear, bro.
the elite don't
Right.
know the end, right? This is really important
Exactly.
because the elite don't know
That's
the end that's there,
Yeah.
right? They
are you
don't know. They're going to keep trying to go forward with the bullshit. So that's what they're doing. So this is why it goes
you
right until the very end because it's the whole system is just a belief, top and
That's
bottom of it.
yeah.
Money, governments, shops, all of it. It's just a belief. The belief will destroy itself, just like your ego does at the end of its life. You don't believe
Yeah.
that you're you when you're dying. You just fuck that off and you just go, I'm now at one with the mind. You don't take Rob with you when you die. Rob
right.
stays here. Yeah. So what do you think's going to happen with the belief? Babylon is the ego, the collective ego we'll call Babylon. That's what it is. Yeah. It's a belief. And your ego, just like yours, Barrett, and yours, Tracy, and mine, it's a belief. You
Defending.
believe
Yeah.
these things are real. The
Mm.
collective mind does the same thing. So in
But-
the death process, these things have to go. So from the higher mind, though the elite might be burning houses for their reasons, the mind is going, well, everyone in Maui needs to move. Like I say, the great migration will begin. It's already begun. If you've got nowhere to live, where are you going to go? You've got to go somewhere else. If your ego, I'm not going to sell my land, I'm not doing this, all of
Right.
the egos who are in fear will do that. They'll fight for the land, they'll try to stay, but they won't get to stay. The mind is making this all happen. So if you stop giving fucking power to the man and saying, oh, man's doing this and they're doing this, because they're only doing, if you do that, you're distracted instantly because
get
it's
that.
not man doing it. You're just looking at it from another level. You look at it from such a low level, it's ego. You look at it from the egoic
Yeah.
level, they're taking the land and it's the.
Our time is
Really?
better spent in our imagination and manifesting and bringing that forward and bringing that into the now. That's the fastest way to raise the energy within ourselves and everyone that crosses our paths.
Tell you how you do that. It's simple. How you control thought is you say it's already done. Everybody knows this, yeah? So you think the things now for what you want to happen. So all we've got to do now is say that everybody's awakened already. It's already done. And then act like it is.
Right.
And then it will manifest.
Fast.
I don't worry about things. So people are like, oh, Rob, you haven't got many followers. I'm not doing this for followers. I'm not doing this to be big. I'm not doing this to be famous. I'm
Right.
doing this because the truth needs to go out. But I also know that the right people, because it's high level frequency thoughts,
Okay, brother.
those people have to seek it.
That's a very powerful statement. Thank you for that. Now, there are powerful figures out there. For me, powerful, like, who are bringing the word disclosure in terms of like David Icke's of the world, and you've heard of Sasha Stone, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
They're trying to create a new, well, not David Icke so much, but a reference to Sasha Stone. He's creating a new Earth scenario in terms of, he's not talking about a particular event, like in terms of the way Rob described it, that we've been here for billions of years, and now we're getting to the end time. And what Rob is talking about, he's looked at the Mayan calendar, okay, and what's happening at the end. For me personally, having looked at it through Rob as well, and my own ability to siphon the information, is, sorry to say, I'm excited. For me, it's a celebration, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's Christmas like we've never known it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's going to be unreal. Right? If people get past death, right, because everything dies, but just the only suffering that comes from death are the people who are living. Yeah, we suffer. The dead people have gone; they're free. So the only ones suffering are the people here going, oh, and
Thank
it's
you.
loss.
Right.
Right? So you've got lessons of loss and lessons of letting go. Those are the two biggest lessons.
Yeah.
Because life, every single thing you've got in life, including your life, you will lose. So the biggest thing in life is loss. So it's the hardest one to get over, and that includes death, which again is just loss. And fear, another one. Fear is the people say I'm in fear of lots of things. I can't express how much I don't care about fear.
Brother, you said it so
Here's
powerfully. You said it so powerfully. Your greatest attachment is yourself. So ultimately, you need to detach not from your car, but
No,
because you're projecting the car. So you got to detach from yourself, from the fact that, and what sickness does, and for me, it's just a blockage, but what it teaches you a fundamental lesson. Yeah. Because it brings you to yourself ultimate, because you can't get distracted as much when you're sick. You're like, or you get paranoid, you're gonna die. You're so scared because the powers that were, they did such a beautiful job to create that environment where they create cemeteries, for example, and coffins and all sorts of things to create that hysteria, so that the association with letting go is the end in a way that now one thing I did notice is that even the so-called religious movements, they're beginning to accept that reincarnation does exist, and so they're becoming
the truth
sorry,
is
Rob.
slowly, but it's filtering. Like I've seen lots of truth. Like I've seen the end years ago, and it was years away when I first seen it. Now it's only like next year. So people coming around now and thinking, look at he's trying to say it's next year. I've been saying it's next year for the last 7 years. This isn't something new I've just come up with. The evidence and proving it was then, first of all, the date was just intuition. I had a date in my head and I was like, it's 2024. And then things started coming and showing it was 2024. More. Even right up to last year was when you saw that they used Krishna's dates, the birth or the coming and the going of Krishna as opposed to Christ. And when they used Krishna, they worked out the Mayan calendar again from that date. And it worked out it was 2024.
Brother,
So it's not just me saying it.
You're being very specific, though, and it's frightening people. You're being so specific, like you're saying 31st of October even. And what if you're a day out, day in? Does it matter? Or are you so...
By that point, it won't matter. Okay, you've got to understand what the pole shift is, and then how because it's not global warming. It's this bullshit that they're talking about. Remember, they went away from global warming, they call it climate change. Do you know why? Because it's not warming up, it's cooling down. It goes hot, then it gets cold. So if it was just a normal event, like in the past, what would happen is the north would become frozen again. You have the glaciers coming all the way down, right down in England and things like that, right round in a circle. Yeah, that would be in the center of the Earth, if on a flat plane. So the center would be frozen, and the outside Antarctic, well, it's not Antarctica, the Antarctic Circle. That's the outside, the outer rim of the Earth by the firmament. So the firmament after that. So that land, it is land on all maps. You can see the land there, and it's got names. It's not called Antarctica. I can't think of it offhand. But there is an image that we're going to be using in the future to show this. So anyway, the north should be frozen when the back of the brain's enlightened. The transition will be going from the pituitary gland, the pineal gland at the back to the pituitary gland at the front. The pineal gland represents the top of the head. The pituitary gland represents the bottom of the head. The left and right is the transition. Spring, autumn, yeah, death, birth. It's the same thing. So it's a transition between one and the other. So the transition of the consciousness going from above the plane to below the plane is what's happening. It was at the back of the brain, which was at the top. That means the north. Am I right there? No, that's the moon. I can't even bother think. But anyway, yeah, the back of the brain is the top, masculine. Yeah, and it goes around, then it's going to go to the feminine again, which is below, which makes sense because we're going to go back to the womb. So when that happens, that transition, which is in next March, when that transition ends, so the pole shift is started, it's midway through it now, we're nearly at the end of it now. It takes years for it to happen. It then gets to the north, it goes to the south, and then the pole shifts. And when that happens, the North Pole will freeze. That's what would normally happen. And then the outside line, the Antarctica or the Antarctic Circle, will become land again. It wouldn't be frozen. So everybody knows the Antarctic shell's been melting. That's why. And the North Pole is going to be frozen again. It's getting colder. That's actually what's happening. So that pole shift going from one side of the brain to the front. The transition between that and that is where we are now. And it's on the right-hand side of the brain. The right is feminine. So that's the whole confusion between masculine and feminine and transgender, all of that.
That it's the orgasm too, what you're talking about, right? During the pool.
The orgasm, yeah, it is, but that's
like the opening
tantric sex.
Yeah.
So if in tantric sex, all tantric sex is building up an orgasm to a certain point. And so if I'm the man, I build my orgasm up. And if I had an orgasm in the lowest chakra, I'll ejaculate at that point. So in tantric sex, what you're supposed to do is stop that orgasm. You carry on having fun and all that, but you don't orgasm, and you carry it on. And that energy you built up stays, it remains. That's the crucial part. Right. And then it builds up to the next chakra, right? And you keep going. And you've got to stop the orgasm though. If you ejaculate, you ejaculate from that point. So you keep going, you keep going, and you get the top. That's the cosmic orgasm, right?
Yeah.
That story, that knowing, isn't about man having sex. That story is the consciousness being raised of Gaia, and then she gets to the top level. So what's happening with the plasma events, what's actually happening in the plasma event is a build-up of pressure. The same as in the heart. It builds up with pressure, and then it releases. The higher it builds, the more pressure or more voltage there will be. Where at the last stage, at the cosmic orgasm, where it's reached the top level of pressure. That's why the plasma events in the past were weaker, and it didn't destroy the earth. So Randy, if you're listening,
analogy. I like that analogy, and I read that
a fact, but yeah,
more so than the first part of what you were talking about. That you
that's what it is.
Asked the
that's
question.
What it is.
So what I'm saying, so you see how just discussing this and bringing it to people and just changing the wording a little. When you start talking about like cosmic orgasm, things like that, people open their eyes or they'll go, what? And they'll listen. And you get that buy-in on that level where if you say, let's talk about the ending, people are like, they don't want to hear it. It's scary, right? It's dark. It's the unknown.
It is when you don't know. I don't get that. I don't get it. If you look at it from the ego perspective, then yes, it'd probably be terrifying. And I get that. And I take that into account. But I can't stop that. They're going to have to come up. Right, look.
You did, though. In a way, you worded it in a different way and still
that's
got...
Just it, though. I've wrote posts. That's just it. See, I've wrote posts on this. So I expect if someone wants to debate it or anything like that, I expect them to do the work first and read what I'll share with them. If people choose, like Randy, if they choose to ignore what I'm sharing, that explains why I'm saying what I'm saying, and then you're just going, no. Well, that's what all you're doing. You're just saying no. You're denying yourself. Because
and people shut the door right away too. If it's like if they don't like what you're saying, that's it.
That's fate. So I don't fight it. I don't force it. If you're ready, you will listen. If you're not ready, Robert, that doesn't make sense. Oh, I don't want to hear that. And I'll just stop.
Right.
Fine.
Well,
It's not meant for you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Everybody's on their level. Okay, this is how I explain this, right? This goes back to when I used to do my outward bound stuff. And it's the perfect way to explain why I do what I do and how it should work.
Yeah.
So when I was doing, I think it was windsurfing. It was based on a 5-star system. So if you're a learner, a beginner, you went to get your 1 star. If you were an instructor, you were a 5-star. Now, the way it worked, a 2-star would teach a 1 star.
Right.
3-star will teach a 2-star. And so the one who's at the top doesn't teach the beginner.
Right.
That's not my job. My job is to teach the ones just below me. Their job is to teach the ones below them. Their job is to teach the one below and the one below. And that way, the top level of consciousness gets taught to the few. Think of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Someone's going to know all the information. There's only going to be a few others on the next level down. Then a few more and a few more and a few more. And the way we do it, you do it from that level. You talk to the people who know, who understand and listen to you. And then they'll share it with their audience, and they'll share it with theirs. And this is how I do advertising. The way I look at it, it should be done by everything's done by word of mouth. So I could advertise, make a big, massive platform on YouTube, get lots of followers, lots of people. But the only thing I'm going to do there is create something that people are coming for a different reason.
Right.
So the only reason you're going to come across me and my information is if you're seeking the truth. And the ones who are seeking what I've got are at the high level. That's why he's here. That's how it happened. Yeah. Otherwise, you'd be like, "No, Rob's full of shit. I want to talk to him." Yeah. So all the people below the levels, so all the other ones doing the other stuff, I haven't got a problem with them doing what they're doing. They are supposed to be doing that. That's for that level of consciousness. But when it fails, they'll go, "Oh, hang on, I need to do something else," and they'll start to raise it up. There's no mistakes, and I don't have a problem with anyone doing what they're doing, including eating meat. Do whatever it is that you do. You're going to do it anyway. Me banging on about it's not going to change it. You're just going to think that I'm having a go at you and I'm being negative and nasty. But honestly, everyone's going to do what they're going to do anyway. So why would I be bothered about it? Why would I put my emotion into that? Because then I put it onto me then. Now I've got to take it. And no.
Sometimes, truth or, people condemn usually because they get offended from the perspective of they often condemn what they don't understand.
Yes.
And it's that insecurity. And I get that because I also, I'm from a place where at times when I first connected with you, brother, if I can be transparent as ever, it's like you disturbed me in a nice way because I thought he's talking about the end and date, and I mean that's not. And then and am I going to do like a connection with you? And I'm getting a lot of flack. Even I just not use the word hope, but this what we did today brings more clarity. That it's not an end as in the way the controllers were creating it. It's not a morbid, it's not although things could get a lot rougher, because
it's going to get really, really bad. You've got to create something, you have to destroy something first.
Okay, so in preparation for what you just said, again, that would scare a lot of people. The way you just said it, it's going to get really rough. So what can
well,
people?
It is. I can't beat around the bush. Earthquakes are going to happen. Yeah, these volcanoes are going to go off.
A lot of people in the spiritual community who would say, "Why don't we all get together, hold hands, and alkaline, and so that it becomes more tolerable, the situation."
Do that.
But
things are going to change. It doesn't mean
it's not going to change the event, but what it's going to do. Tell me, Tracie, what's it going to do ultimately when you raise the consciousness of the planet for this event? It's going to. We're not going to worry about it.
We don't have to worry about it, all this detail.
What does worrying ultimately do? Who does it help? Does it help anybody if we sit there and we worry?
Don't want.
No.
Worrying attracts the things that you don't want.
Why? Right. Okay. So you know the 10 Commandments. Everybody thinks the 10 Commandments are good. It's horseshit. Remember, the 10 Commandments were created by not all of them are wrong. Just
Right.
the ones that say thou shalt kill.
Okay.
Right. What does that say? Anyone should, to any human, you just go, oh, that means I shouldn't kill. Yeah, that's from your perspective. What does energy here? Energy just creates. It
Mhm.
doesn't not do, it just does. So if
Right.
you're going to sit there and go, oh, so you've got a bad back, and you go, oh, I have a bad back, or I am in pain. Well, you've just predicted it. You've made that future. So what you've just said there, because the universe doesn't know any different. It just goes, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're in pain. And it
You'd
gives you
say,
more pain.
thank
So
you.
what you
You know,
so the commandments are wrong. You don't say things that you don't want. You don't go, I should not kill, because all you've just said is I should kill. There is no
Yeah,
not.
that's very
And you just know
powerful.
how to not do.
Yeah.
It just creates. So if you want abundance, you don't go, I don't want to have no money. Because all you're going to do is have no money. So you don't change the things that you don't want. You change the
right.
things that you want. So if you want the world to wake up, you don't go, oh, people need to stop doing this or stop doing that. That's not how it works. You're just going to create more of it.
And it's a
So yeah.
And so people get very comfortable and familiar with being in that low vibrational frequency. That's what they're used to, right? But
Comfortable.
we've hit the tipping point. So many people have suffered and gone through crazy events like the fires and stuff that you can get a buy-in from just about everybody that you know, that we're living in a time that is not so great. It doesn't feel right. So it's like that's the one thing that we all have in common. Like something's not right here. And when we do come from that level, you get a buy-in from everybody. It
Well,
doesn't matter political, it doesn't matter it doesn't even matter the specifics. It just matters is that something's not right because everybody's suffering, right? We're having to work, give, and what do we have to show for it other than stress and whatever is going on in your life? We all want to make this shift. It's just people don't understand how to make it. But getting into the events of the future and things to look forward to, that's key because that actually changes the chemicals in your brain, right? You start getting dopamine. It just starts triggering. So I needed that spark. It's like, Rob, how can I get out what I have inside me? It just really has to come out. And then he's like, oh, I have an idea. Let's do this. And it's like, bam. Well, my brain just started creating this chemical makeup to release in my body, right? To raise my energy. Because we're not just, remember, we are walking, talking pharmacies, right?
But Tracy, you did it. You've done it already. You see, there are people that say, "Oh, well, things are going to burn and things like that," and then they have fear. But you're a perfect example. You've been in 2 places that were burned, and now you're still sat here, perfectly fine, knowing the truth.
Mhm.
So these disasters don't necessarily mean because all it's going to take from you is the ego things, the things that you've attached. And when it
Yeah.
goes and it's gone, and you're able to let go and don't cling to it, and you
Yeah.
let go, you're free. You're free of
Yeah.
all that bullshit you had stored in your house that you've now had to get rid of, and you weren't
Right.
going to get rid of it.
Right.
Gone, just like that.
Yep.
Freedom. So it helps. It can help. These things are helping people move forward. The
Exactly.
lockdowns were helping people to stop being busy. It was a
Yep.
massively good thing, but no
Yep.
fucker says it like that. It's all
Yep.
negative. No, it was brilliant. It stopped
Right.
people going out killing animals. It stopped lots and lots and lots of things,
Yep.
and it changed the world for the better. I think it stopped commerce. It stopped lots and lots of things. Now the world thinks no, because it's changing, and the majority of people cling to the old world.
Right.
Well,
But we
that'll
know that
change.
the whole world is not going to sustain. Right?
Exactly.
It can't. So I look
Nope.
at every quite exciting in the future.
Great.
So do
Well,
I.
it's been fantastic, and I'm so grateful to you both. I mean, it's it's been an hour, 2 hours and 10 minutes nearly. It's time.
A long one.
Yeah. So shall we end it on this, that we'll bring another title soon, or do you guys want to continue on the deep dive into sharing consciousness, or we'll choose a title in due course. We'll go with the flow, and we'll
always a deep dive into consciousness anyway.
Yeah, going with the flow is a good title too.
Tracie, do you want to say a few last words, and Rob, and we take it in turns, and
well,
just
I'm
a few.
I'm done for now. I'm busy for the toilet.
I am too. I'm super thankful and appreciative of you guys and the opening and the platform that you've established and shared with me. I would love to do a couple more podcasts, maybe on currency, because you talked about a little, maybe there has to be a bridge and a gap. And I have a lot of insight that's come to me from currency and kind, right? So kind.
That excites me as well. Is that okay with you as well, Rob? I mean, that's a powerful one as well, isn't it? And just to titillate a little bit for the future show on that, my take and how I'm doing it is like the most powerful gift you can give is the I am presence, that you are, without having to use like words like I love you. Because how do you know that's true? When you love yourself, that most powerful vessel in that I am presence, things that are not natural around you appear to just let go, and you just create a different harmonic. Well, we talk about cymatics, yeah. So you giving off a different frequency.
The more open your heart is,
great.
The wider
So my
your
lovely son, so I'm sending lots of kisses and hugs. Thank you for our beautiful viewers out there, and thank you, Tracie, as well, and Rob. And we look forward to having you back, Tracie, with us. I think we're creating a beautiful trinity, beautiful connection here. So much love.
Till next time.
Okay, love you guys.
Thank you.
Much love.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bioactivator would like to thank you for your kind support and donations. Through Barrett Tunian's guardianship of this platform, his activation of truth harmonizes, neutralizes, and unblocks the meridians that connect, balance, and purify all that comes in contact. Do no harm is the key that fully opens the heart's voice to be in the union of the I am presence, and will represent every living organism on the planet whose voice would otherwise not be heard. Remember, the truth will set you free. Do no harm, cause no loss, and do not impose upon the freedom of others. Love, light, and gratitude.